Slider. There's a drive. Hits to the left. Drive deep down. Way back. 3, 2. From Cleveland Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, the New York Yankees open the 1993 season versus the Cleveland Indians. Pitching for the Yankees, left-hander Jimmy Key. And on the mound for Cleveland, right-hander Charles Nagy. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to a brand new season, 1993, as the Yankees and the Cleveland Indians open the lid here. I'm Dwayne Statz, along with Tony Kubek. Optimism running high in the Yankee camp all spring, and they carry that into the opening day here. A very chilly day, to be kind, on the lakefront in Cleveland. And Jimmy Key will get the start in the place of Melito Perez. Perez, Tony, as we know, threw a few moments ago, and the Yankees are still determining what his situation will be over the next few days.
I think some of that has to do with how he'll recover and bounce back tomorrow, Dwayne. He has the groin pull. Gene Monahan, the head trainer here, said it doesn't bother him throwing, but if he had to make a quick move in field, and especially on some of these turfs, listen, it's still got some frost in it. It'll be an interesting game. Two quality pitchers, both of whom usually have very low pitch counts. Nagy did not have a good spring. Jimmy Key had a brilliant spring.
And we'll be back with all the action from Cleveland, the Yankees and the Indians, coming up following this. Yankees baseball. We are set to play baseball on a cool day in Cleveland. Charles Nagy on the mound, 25-year-old right-hander. Went to high school in Fairfield, Connecticut, and the season is underway as Bernie Williams takes the pitch down and in. Larry Barnett is calling the balls and strikes.
The best sinker baller in Cleveland Indians franchise history was a teammate of Bob Feller, and that, of course, the former Yankee manager, Bob Lemon. Nagy has a great sinker ball also.
Bernie takes this one too low, so the count is 2-0. And you alluded to his spring. His spring numbers were not overly impressive. He threw pretty well early and then had a virus and is just recovering from that.
He'll throw split-fingered fastball, straight change slider, but his bread and butter pitch is right there. You'll see a lot of ground balls.
Ground ball for Baerga at second, and Bernie Williams is the first out. Here's a look at the Yankees starting lineup for 7-11. Williams leading off, followed by Wade Boggs and Don Mattingly. Tarnable in right today. O'Neill in left with Matt Noakes catching. Kevin Moss, the DH. That's Spiko on the shortstop, and Pat Kelly, the starting second baseman for the Yankees, batting ninth. The defensive setup for the Cleveland Ball Club.
Ken Lofton in center field is an impact player two ways, with a bat in his hand, of course, on the bases offensively, and also defensively. He can really cover a lot of ground.
Boggs takes a strike. Wade off the .259 season last year and hit .197 this spring. Finds himself behind in the count.
It may be too early in the season for Nagy to push himself through, or Jimmy Key to push themselves through 9 innings. It's cool day, but both usually have very quick ball games.
Out to short for Mean. Up with this one. Across to Sorrento. And Wade Boggs is retired. So a couple of ground balls, and this is just where the Cleveland right-hander left off last year against the Yankees, when he won all 3 decisions against the Yankees and posted a 1.37 earned run average. Overall 17-10.
You can bet Rick Downs, the new hitting instructor's pre-game hitting meeting, that the statement was made, make him bring the ball up. A lot easier said than done. He's down at the knees all day long.
Don Mattingly takes one too low. It's going to be out of play. So the count stands at 1-1. Mattingly hit .343 this spring off his .288 season last year, with 86 runs batted in, 40 doubles and 14 home runs. balls, 1 strike the count.
Dwayne, the way Buck Showalter's lineup is set up with Tartabull batting behind Mattingly and the 2 men in front, it won't stay the same. There's a good chance Mattingly's looking at a 100 RBI season. He doesn't have to hit 25, 30 home runs. He might be in the teens again, maybe approach 20, but he's going to have a lot of base runners. Remember, Buck Showalter last year started Donnie in the 2 spot. He had no 2-hitter. This year he's hoping Wade Boggs will fill that role.
2-2 the count on Don. And he's out on strikes. Alomar digs it out, finally puts the tag on him, and the Yankees are up and down 1-2-3 in the first. Bottom of inning 1 coming up. Full house in Cleveland. No score. Back in Cleveland, where the Yankees and the Cleveland Indians are opening the 1993 season, Jimmy Key gets the starting nod on opening day, coming off his 13-13 year last season with the Toronto Blue Jays. Key with almost a perfect spring. He was 3-0 with a 0.67 earned run average and was able to put the ball just about where he wanted it at any time. Here's the 7-11 starting lineup for the Cleveland Indians. Kenny Lofton in center, Felix Fermin at short, Carlos Baerga, the second baseman, Albert Bell in left with Paul Sorrento at first base. Reggie Jefferson is the designated hitter. Carlos Martinez at third, Glenn Allen Hill in right, and Sandy Alomar Jr. behind the plate, batting ninth. The Yankees defensive alignment.
Bernie Williams with great range, just like Lofton in center field. Matt Noakes will catch Key. Key had not only threw a lot of strikes in the spring, but he had great location and terrific change of speeds. They're tight at the corners for this man.
Kenny Lofton, and the first pitch to him is a strike. Lofton caught a lot of attention last year with his work to go with that 285 average, 66 stolen bases. 2 strikes the count. There's Bernie Williams in center field.
And already, how about that? Bernie taking charge and moving Danny Tartabull to fill the right center field gap. A little bit of show of leadership right there early, huh?
And Lofton is out on strikes, so Key makes quick work of the Cleveland leadoff man.
Interesting that Bernie would do that to a veteran like Tartabull. As soon as the count went 2 strikes, they were playing him to swing late to start with, and he beckoned Danny to get closer.
Well,
Look at curveball.
A lot has been made of Bernie Williams and his timid style coming to the big leagues, but I don't necessarily think that's because he lacks confidence. I think it will take him a while, and we're starting to see him feel much more comfortable here. He's a very intelligent player. Fermin hits the ball to Boggs across the diamond of Mattingly, so Felix Fermin out on the first pitch. I talked about Bernie being afraid in the clubhouse. I'm not so sure that he was afraid. I don't know if that's the right word for it.
Last September was a maturation process for Bernie Williams. He was much more confident, played through some injuries, and I guess you've got to separate. Defensively, he has terrific confidence. At the bat, confidence is there. It's on the bases that he becomes a little bit timid at times. He's a darn good player, though, and can only get better.
Carlos Baerga. And this one is low, ball 1. Well, there's no telling how good a player Bernie Williams could be. Carlos Baerga, I think, is a good example of just how good a young player can be if you stay with him. Those numbers last year, 312, 105 runs batted in. Baerga coming here to Cleveland, getting a chance to play every day, and established himself as one of the stars in the league. Danny Tartabull takes care of this one, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Jimmy Key. So we've gone through 1 in Cleveland. No score. From Cleveland Stadium, no score. Yankees and the Indians through 1 inning.
Look at who some of the veteran hitters, Matt Noakes in this case, went to see what Nagy's ball is doing. They know he throws a sinker. They know he's got a curve and slider. They know he's got a splitter, but what's it doing?
And the first pitch to Tartabull is a strike. Danny lifts it high and deep into right center. Hills all the way back, and that ball is gone. So Danny Tartabull in his first at bat in 1993 hits it out into right center field, and the Yankees lead 1-0. Tartabull hit 25 last year, and he will hit a good share of his home runs to right center.
The reason, and one of the reasons Danny Tartabull drives in a lot of runs, is he hits good pitches. A lot of good pitches off good pitchers. A sinker down. He wouldn't let Nagy get ahead of him so he could go out of the strike zone, and he crunched it to right center field.
Now Paul O'Neill. First pitch to O'Neill was low, so Danny Tartabull against the Yankees on the scoreboard. And O'Neill making his first official trip to the plate in a Yankee uniform during the regular season.
And now the
And the
official
count 2-0.
Now the official learning process begins for Paul. Learning each outfield, the nuances, watching, and usually when a guy comes to another league, he will take a lot of pitches the first time through the league. He wants to get a little learning experience and monitor what they throw.
And a base hit out of the reach of Baerga. So Paul O'Neill singles in his first Yankee at bat. O'Neill coming over from the Cincinnati Reds. So the Yankees with a home run and a single to open the second inning. Here's the catcher, Matt Noakes. Matt hit those 22 home runs and just over 380 at bats last year.
They are hoping he has a better first half than he had last season. He came along after the All-Star break.
Covered up on by Sandy Alomar. Ball one.
Indians hope that Sandy Alomar is going to remain healthy this year. Rick Cerone, the advance scout for the Yankees, report on Alomar is that he's been throwing as good as ever, so everything's well with him.
Baerga goes to second out there. A lot of time, and they turn the double play. Baerga, Fermin to Sorrento. 4-6-3 on the double play. O'Neill is erased. The Yankees lose that base runner.
Over the past couple of seasons prior to this one, they've tried to give Fermin's job away to someone else. And now, with his pitching staff, Mike Hargrove has decided we need his stability defensively. And he adds that.
Now Kevin Moss. Kevin, the designated hitter. And he takes it down, ball one. Kevin hit a little over 200 for the spring and one spring home run.
In that first pitch, Kevin showed a very aggressive approach, even though on the second pitch too, even though both pitches were balls. He has a tendency to wait to see if a pitch is a strike before he makes up his mind, as opposed to going after every pitch until he sees it's a ball. It's kind of a fine line, but it makes you a little more aggressive.
He's ahead in the count now. 3 balls, no strikes.
You never want to see, especially a young hitter, take a base on balls approach in the batter's box.
Swinging 3-0 and lifts a high foul. It's going to be out of the reach of the Cleveland defense. So the count 3-1 on Kevin. We saw a moment ago Kevin 1 out of 9 lifetime against the Indians right-hander. Danny Tartabull, who hit the home run in this inning, 5 out of 15 against him coming into this game, and that's about the only healthy average the Yankees have lifetime against this guy. Foul, and the count will go all the way out to 3-2. Yankees with a 1-0 lead on the home run by Danny Tartabull. That came to open this inning on an 0-1 pitch. Tartabull hit it out to right center field. Kevin draws the walk. So the Yankees have another base runner.
He got a base on balls, but he was not a base on balls hitter in that at bat. And first at bat of the regular season, I think it's a positive sign for Kevin. I mean, he wasn't really sure if he's going to be here. But when you look at numbers in the past, a great start. And he's faltered since then. He still is a guy that can put the ball in the seats for you in right field. And that was a great sign of aggressiveness.
Equipment problem there. Sandy Alomar needed a new mitt. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Kevin last year hit 11 home runs in 286 at-bats and drove in 35 runs. He has yet to establish that he can produce runs over an extended period of time, a full season. Here's Spike on. And the first pitch is a strike.
Sorrento at first base is playing behind Kevin Maas, and if I were Buck Showalter or Cleve Boyer, if he can get a little bit of a walking lead, might as well take off, get in scoring position.
Count is 1-1. Buck Showalter, youngest manager, 2 years younger than the Texas manager, Kevin Kennedy. 2 balls and a strike.
You mean chronologically in age? I wonder.
That's right.
With the duress of managing in New York, always a little more severe.
That picks up the corner, so the count goes to 2-2. Well, there is that factor, no question about it.
It's not going to get any easier this year either.
Buck with a 3-year extension. Last July, the end of July, so his contract extended through 95. That helps somewhat. There goes Maas, and the pitch is rolled foul. So Kevin was breaking on the 2-2.
You know, the thing for Buck this year, and all of the Yankees this year, they're expected to be more in the win column than the loss column. The expectations are higher. I don't think that kind of pressure hurts a competitor like Buck Showalter, though.
Maas takes off, and there's strike 3 called. Owen not happy with plate umpire Larry Barnett. So Owen called out on strikes. The second strikeout for the Cleveland right-hander. The Yankees settle for 1 run on a couple of hits, leave a man. Bottom of the second coming, 1-0 Yankees. Will open the bottom of the second inning against the Yankee left-hander. Jimmy Key with a 1-run lead now. It'll be Bell, Sorrento, and Jefferson for the Indians here, the middle part of the order. A quick 1-2-3 first for Key. And he misses. Ball 1. And Bell with 112 runs batted in last year. Baerga had 105. And the Indians still feel that this offense is packed. Mattingly way off the bag at first. Position toward the hole, makes the play unassisted.
Well, the potential of the Indians offense is really great, yet there are only 3 teams in the American League last year that scored fewer runs. They were down in 11th place in runs scored, but there's terrific potential. I mean, they're very young. I think basically they're a fastball hitting club like you see with a lot of youngsters. Sorrento getting a chance to play against all kinds of pitching. It started last year.
And the first pitch in there.
So you had a little chat with Jeff Idelson while we were in commercial, and I guess there's a nice report on Melito Perez.
Melito Perez apparently encouraging when he threw before the game. They're going to take another look at him tomorrow. There's a ball, and the count is 1-1. So Jeff tells us that they're going to make a decision apparently before 11 o'clock tomorrow on Perez as to whether he'll be able to pitch or not. And that will affect. There's ball 2 upstairs, 2-1. That will affect how the Yankees handle Sam Militello. He's supposed to pitch tomorrow in Tampa to be ready for his first start during the regular season here. There's a strike, so the count goes to 2-2. It would be possible if Perez would not be able to go that Sam would be bumped up and fill a spot in the rotation earlier. But so far, the news on Perez has been encouraging. We'll know definitely tomorrow. The 2-2 rolled to short for Spike Owen. 2 gone.
You get a chance to see, especially against left-handed hitters, when Jimmy Key's on the mound. We've talked so much about his great change, his sinker ball, change of speed, that cutter on the right-hander's fist, but to a left-handed batter, he gives you those subtle changes of arm angles. 3/4, he'll drop down, crossfire a little bit more, show the left-handers a little different look, so they can't pick up the ball quite as quickly.
Jefferson, the hitter. Key starts him with a strike. Well, Key will be fun to watch this year. He wastes very little time out there, throws lots of strikes, and for just the reasons you mentioned. This one is low, a ball and a strike. A pitcher in so many senses of that word.
And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he was the biggest winner on this Yankee staff. Don't know if it's going to happen with Melito and Jim Abbott, but he is capable of that. He's had winning records his entire career. High percentage pitcher, that's what you go for, and he is considered the #3 starter on this staff, even though he's pitching opening day.
2 balls and a strike to count. Base is empty. This one fouled out of play. So the count is 2-2. Weatherman calling for temperatures to reach somewhere in the low to mid 40s as a high in Cleveland today. Count holding at 2-2.
Well, if you're like I am, especially on opening day, and players have their jitters and don't sleep quite as good before opening day. Got up this morning, turned the TV on, got the newspaper with a nice little room service, and the weatherman, first thing I heard, he said, a beautiful day for opening day, 29 degrees. Looked out my window and saw Lake Erie, and the ice isn't out yet. That's what opening day will do to you.
Full count 3-2. Well, the Yankees are here in Cleveland and then into Chicago. Could run into cold weather there. Then back home for a week. The number right side, Mattingly with a diving stop, and over to cover is Key to complete the putout. And the Yankees turn in a fine defensive play to retire Reggie Jefferson. Mattingly to Key. 3 more ground balls in the second. At the end of 2, the Yankees have built a 1-0 lead and preserve it on this play by Mattingly. Third, with the Yankees leading 1-0, Pat Kelly leads it off. Strokes this one right back into center, and it hangs up for Kenny Lofton, who makes the catch. We have a new addition to our coverage on Yankee baseball, the MCS Canton Great Teamwork. And what better example of that than this play by Mattingly and Jimmy Key off the mound to cover.
Did you see how far off the line he was playing Reggie Jefferson? I mean, forget he still had to make 4 or 5 strides. He had to read that play to see if Pat Kelly could get it, decided he couldn't, and then with a left-hander, sometimes they're not over in time to cover. So it was a great play where he started from, plus a perfect throw to Jimmy Key.
Bernie Williams. Bernie up there, grounded out his first time, 1 strike to count. He looks this one over.
It's my pleasure again. He's working with a state-of-the-art broadcaster and a state-of-the-art first baseman out there for the Yankees.
I don't know what to say.
Just be humble.
There's a strike. So the count is 1-2. I kept checking my wallet. I wondering if there was something you were after. Not that I would ever question your sincerity.
Well, my hands are a little chilly, and those nice pair of gloves you have on when the 8th inning rolls around.
This one wide, so the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, the Yankees have some facets of this club this year that are going to be very fun to watch, and Mattingly, as usual, will be one of them. The continued development of Bernie Williams will be another.
The health of Danny Tartabull, the transition of Paul O'Neill.
Bernie looks this one over, and we have a full count.
It'll be interesting to see what the makeup of the bullpen and the bench is as the season progresses. Anytime you have as many difficult last-minute roster changes as Gene Michael and Buck Showalter had to the Tampa people, it means something might be coming. You've got roster that goes into AAA.
Mayorga at second base will handle this one in for the second straight time. Bernie Williams is out, second to first. 2 gone in the third. Yankees with the only run of the game, coming on a home run by Danny Tartabull.
Is that Chief Sockalexis?
A facsimile thereof.
Those of you not familiar, that is how the Indians got their name. Chief Sockalexis, one of the original Indians years and years ago.
Wade Boggs takes a strike.
Tribute to a Native American, the Cleveland Indians.
Boggs down the left side. That's going to be foul. Bouncing toward the bullpen. 2 strikes the count.
When you go back to Danny Tartabull's home run, one of the reasons that it is so difficult to get the ball to the ballpark with a guy like Nagy is because you want to hit everything the opposite way. Wait till the last second that sinker breaks, and you've got to be a Danny Tartabull to get the ball to the ballpark against this guy. You see Boggs' swings and some of the other. Jimmy Key's the same way in many cases. You try and hit him up the middle or go with the pitch the opposite direction, opposite field.
This one is too low to Boggs. And that squares the count at 2-2. Tip strikeout. That's 3 strikeouts for the Cleveland right-hander, and the Yankees are up and down 1, 2, 3 in the third through 2.5. The Yankees lead 1-0. Reminder, coming up tonight following game night at 7, the Rangers take on the Hartford Whalers. The Rangers now a point back of playoff qualification with a victory. They're going tonight against Hartford. Here in Cleveland, the Yankees have a 1-0 lead. Carlos Martinez takes a strike to start the bottom of inning 3. Martinez lifts this one high and deep to left, all the way back and over the head of O'Neill. Extra bases for Martinez, who will stop after making the turn at second. He got a lot of carry on that ball. Martinez is some strong to send that ball out over O'Neill's head.
Jimmy tried to cut that fastball inside of the fist, got a little bit over the plate, and we talked about Paul O'Neill getting acclimated to new ballparks. The dimensions fool him, and I think the sun bothered him also. There's a little wind drift out toward left center field, a little alley through there. And O'Neill had the ball caught in the sun, I believe, and again, the angle off the bat, he played all spring in left field, but still he's a natural right fielder. Sun was troublesome.
So a double, the first hit for the Indians. Glenn Allen Hill, and he shoots it to the right side. Tartabull with the pickup, and Martinez will be held at third by Jeff Newman. So the Indians come back with a threat in the third, putting the first 2 men aboard.
So Glenn Allen Hill with the trade of Mark Whitten. Glenn Allen Hill and I guess Thomas Howard got a chance to win that right field spot. What a different hitter Glenn Allen is than when he was in the Toronto organization. Glenn Allen Hill struck out nearly 200 times one minor league season. You could see how he cut his swing down and tried to advance a runner. Martinez had to freeze in case the line drive was caught.
Now Sandy Alomar. Alomar lines one into left, caught by O'Neill. Here's the tag by Martinez, and the throw will be offline. This game is tied. Martinez scores on a sacrifice fly by Alomar to tie this game. I think the Yankees will appeal. The Yankees want to appeal Martinez leaving third base. Alomar hit the ball on a line to left.
It's a dangerous call, and Jimmy Key will put the ball back in place, step off the rubber. Spike Cohen will back up Boggs. The home plate umpire,
Larry Barnett's making the call.
Yeah, the third base umpire, Dan Morrison, in that play, in case the ball is trapped, short hop, he was running out to left field to make sure that the ball was caught cleanly, and it was Larry Barnett, the crew chief's responsibility to line third base up with the catch. Very dangerous call by the third base coach with nobody out, on Paul O'Neill's arm especially.
Kenny Lofton, the top of the order, takes one down, ball one. So the Yankees with a run in the second on the home run by Tartabull. The Indians back with a run in the bottom of inning 3. Hill back in at first.
Runners will not take liberties off Jimmy Key. He'll show you 4 or 5 different looks. Then when he comes home with a knee kick, he has you going back to first base.
2-0 the count. Key lifetime 12-4 against the Indians. And he just missed there for ball 3.
Yeah, Jimmy Key needs that pitch down near the knees, and he needs those corners and the black edge around the plate. He doesn't want to throw to the center of the plate.
He picks up the corner there, says Larry Barnett, and the count goes to 3-1. Jimmy Key getting the opening day assignment. The 3-1 ground ball, second. Kelly 0-1, first base. The Yankees turn the double play on Kenny Lofton. 4-6-3, and the Indians settle for the 1 run on a couple of hits with nobody left on base. We've completed 3, 1-1 tie. Back to Dwayne Staats from Cleveland Stadium. We have completed 3 with the Yankees and the Indians tied at 1. Don Mattingly opens the 4th and takes the first pitch too low, ball 1. Mattingly, Tartabull, and then O'Neill for the Yankees against the Cleveland right-hander. Count is 1-1. Charles Nagy or Nagy, take your pick.
Well,
it's an interesting situation here because the people in Cleveland call them both.
As do the radio broadcasters.
Yeah, Tom Hamilton, for an example, and Herb Score of the radio crew for the Indians. A roller to first. Sorrento makes the pickup. So that's out number 1 here in the 4th. Herb Score tends to call him Nagy because when you look at the name, you would think, well, it's Nagy. And people here in Cleveland tend to call him that. But Tom Hamilton, the other Indian broadcaster, went up and asked him, said, there's a little controversy here. What do you want us to call you?
Well,
Tartabull fouled this one out of play.
I know Herbie, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans. If Herbie went to Connecticut, where they say Nagy, in New England states, he'd call him Nagy. But around here, hey.
So Tom Hamilton calls him Nagy. Herb Score calls him Nagy. 2 strikes.
Tomato, whatever.
Danny Tartabull got to him for a home run in the 2nd inning. This one low.
We talk so much about Chuck's sinker ball.
It's Charles, I beg your pardon.
Sometimes we forget. When he goes cross seams, he struck out Boggs and Mattingly with him. He rides that fastball pretty good. And then he will get in the low 90s.
They count 2-2. Yankees very impressed by him last year with good reason, as we saw those numbers. Full count.
Well, is it too early to determine if the American League umpires are expanding the strike zone on the high pitch? Larry Barnett behind the plate. There was a suggestion by the league president.
There's another hit for Tartabull out of the reach of a diving Felix Fermin. Tartabull has 2 of the 3 Yankee hits. So Danny Off to a fast start here. 2 for 2. This exciting game sponsored by your friends at 7-Eleven. Proud to be bringing you New York Yankees baseball. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
Those real good hitters never blink, do they? I mean, you see catchers actually blink. I saw Deion Sanders when he was with the Yankees. When he bunted, he'd close his eyes and he kept fouling them off. Not the good hitters.
Paul O'Neill. The pitch is low, ball 1. Take a look at Tarnable's eyes.
Ooh. They talk about head discipline right there, huh?
A 2-ball, no strike count.
You know, when Danny Tarnable takes batting practice, and it's fun to hear batting practice. That's what Ted Williams used to do. You stand around the batting cage, and he gives good sound, better than anybody in the Yankees. I'm telling you, the ball just rings off his bat. He just smokes through it.
Roller right side, Sorrento. He's going to get the tag on O'Neill with Tarnable moving into second base. 2 gone. We're in the 4th inning here with the Yankees and the Indians tied 1-1. Meanwhile, at Camden Yard, the Rangers and the Orioles tied at 1 in the 3rd on the Wiz scoreboard. Here's Matt Noakes with a man at second base and 2 outs.
You know, here's a guy that I think deep down feels he has something to prove, that a Yankee pitching staff can pitch to him and they can be a 500 plus or contending ball club. He's heard the opposite for the last couple of years, and people forget, for the Detroit Tigers, the World Championship Club, Matt Noakes caught over 100 games for Sparky Anderson. Of course, after that, Sparky Anderson made him a DH against right-handed pitchers, so it worked both ways.
And Matt, you're right, is very aware of that, Tony, to the point of speaking about it this spring, kind of defending himself, saying that he felt that he could catch with anyone. A 1-ball, no strike count. And there's a strike. But there's no question that his big value to this club is that bat, that left-handed bat, and the extra base production that he can give the Yankee lineup. One ball, 2 strikes.
How's that for a backdoor breaking ball? Noakes gave up on it halfway out of the pitcher's hand, and you can exactly see where the ball hits in Alomar's glove. Noakes just quit on it. Thought it had no chance coming into the strike zone.
2 outs. Tarnable the runner at second, and the 1-2. Tap. Nagy gloves it. And over to Sorrento to retire the side. No runs. The Yankees pick up a hit and leave a man. We're headed into the bottom of the 4th in Cleveland, tied 1-1. The Yankees and the Indians tied at 1 as we move into the bottom of the 4th inning. Fermin, Baerga, and Bell due up in this inning. See Albert Bell on the GMC truck batting leaderboard from a year ago with those 34 home runs. Remember, your Tri-State GM truck dealer, the strength of experience.
How about Gonzalez and Canseco back-to-back in Texas? Baerga and this guy back-to-back here. And they're all still young.
And Felix Fermin leads off, taking a strike. Well, Fermin perceived as something of a crusty old veteran here in Cleveland. Yeah, he's still just 29 years old. This one is low, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. And while they have attempted to make Mark Lewis their shortstop here over the past year and a half or so, Fermin keeps hanging in there and giving them the consistent shortstop job. Really underrated overall. Spike Owens is going to throw him out. So Fermin, the first out of the 4th inning, 0 for 2 in this game.
I think it's interesting how a label gets put on a player and sometimes it sticks. A rap against Felix Fermin was he didn't catch the ball late in the ball game, in close ball games. You talk to Hargrove or other people and say he seems to catch it better. For me, he seems to be more determined in defensive situations when they're considered clutch situations. That's why he won his job back.
Carlos Baerga. There's a strike. Well, they continue to have concern about Lewis and his defensive work overall at shortstop, and what a valuable spot that is if you're going to anchor a defense. Mayorga pops it into right, carries out to Tarnable, who makes the catch on the move. 2 gone.
Well, if you've got a young pitching staff, Mike Hargrove knows this, nothing can ruin it faster than poor defense, especially in the middle of the diamond. You know, Nagy, or Nagy, if you will, go out, and I'm never going to get that straight with you here.
Life is so confusing.
Yeah, I know. Why can't we simplify opening day at least and then go from there? Catch the ball in the middle of the diamond. Don't give those 4 or 5 outs an inning. Stop a rally, and you do it. I think more games are won and lost on the pitcher's rubber. Second place is at second base.
Here's Albert Bell. 2 outs, bases empty. Bell under this one, lifts it high and not overly deep into center. So Bernie Williams takes care of that. It's a 1-2-3 frame, and at the end of 4, we remain tied 1-1.
Took their ice boats over across Lake Erie. New York Yankees baseball right here on MSG with a 1-1 ball game. Chuck Nagy, Jimmy Key, Kevin Moss, who walked his first at-bat lines to Ken Lofton in center field. If the ball's in the air from left center to the right center, and if there's any amount of hang time, Ken Lofton is going to get it.
Well, the Indians traded a catcher, Ed Taubensee, to Houston for Lofton, and the Astros knew he had great athletic ability, weren't sure that he would fully develop that ability, but boy, he has here in Cleveland.
Spike Owen called out on strikes, a breaking ball in the second. Draws Martinez in with a fake bunt attempt. You gotta like Kevin Moss's first 2 at-bats. Yeah, they're only 2, but they were aggressive at-bats. Sinker ball out of the strike zone. 2 balls, no strikes to Spike. Line drive, base hit.
Well, Spike will feel good about coming up with a base hit here in his second at bat during the regular season. He struggled this spring at the plate, tried to get well. He felt lethargic most of the spring, had a number of tests. Everything came back negative, and they don't know if it was some kind of an allergy. Spike with a liner in the center.
Saw perhaps a little higher leg kick from Spike Owen that time, perhaps to stay back on the ball a little bit better. There's 1 out in this 1-1 ball game. Spike Owen, the 8th place hitter, down at first base. Pat Kelly lined out to Lofton in center field in the 3rd. Will they hit and run with this combination? Tough breaking ball from Nagy. Alomar at about 6'4", extremely agile behind the plate. You saw him slide out, block that breaking pitch. Throwing better. Junior Ortiz is his backup. Joel Skinner still had some more trouble, recurrence of the shoulder problem. Hit deep to left. Bell will go back to the fence. It is to the track. It is off the padding. Spike Owen will be sent by Clete Boyer. Pat Kelly with a double. It is 2-1 Yankees. Pitch appeared to be up in the zone and middle of the plate end, Dwayne.
And Spike Owen scores from first. The ball off the wall, and Bell has a little trouble finding the handle on it out there on the warning track. Clete Boyer kept Spike Owen coming all the way. So Pat Kelly, who finished strong at the plate this spring, hit over .330 in the spring, drives in the go-ahead run.
And one thing you see with Spike Owen, he won't dazzle you defensively nor much offensively, but he won't make mistakes. He's a Mike Gallego type player. You watch him every day. Bug fake by Bernie Williams on a slider. It's a ball. Yankees with 5 base hits off Nagy. They have 2 runs. The Indians with just 2 base hits and 1 run off Jimmy Key. Bernie has grounded to second baseman Carlos Baerga twice in this game. Change up. 2-0. Yankees 2, Indians 1. 1 run home, 1 out, and a man on second base for the Yankees in the top of the 5th. Fly ball left field. 2 outs.
Well, it's going to give Wade Boggs a chance here to do something against the Cleveland right-hander.
Wade Boggs with 6 AL batting championships under his belt. AT&T's best in the business. If the hit total seems low, not yet at 2,000, just think of all the seasons that Wade Boggs got 100 base on balls along with 200 base hits. An on-base percentage lifetime that rivals Ted Williams. Fly ball left field on a 1-strike count. Albert Bell puts it away, but not before, as Spiko and single, and Pat Kelly doubled him home. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th here in Cleveland, opening day. Yankees have a 2-1 lead. The 5th to Paul Sorrento, then Reggie Jefferson and Carlos Martinez. 2-1 Yankees. And Dwayne, these early season cold and windy conditions do have effect on pitchers.
Yeah, they're not very pleasant for a hitter or pitchers, but Key makes a nice play right there. But in the case of Jimmy Key, who is more of a touch feel type pitcher with the off-speed stuff, it may affect him more than a pitcher such as Charles Nagy there, who's primarily the sinker and slider type pitcher. This was between innings there. Rick Adair talking with his right-hander. You know, last year Nagy did have a little problem and kind of shelled that slider for a while because of some shoulder problems until August came back and was kind of revitalized.
The DH, Reggie Jefferson, was robbed of a base hit by Don Mattingly in the 2nd. Change up. Right down the line. It should be at least 2 by Boggs. O'Neill into the corner quickly. Jefferson with a 1-out double. One thing with shortstop, Spiko, and in this case, especially with Jimmy Key, when he sees the change-up sign, he's got to give a verbal signal to the third baseman so he can slide or at least prepare to move toward the third base foul line.
And this one just inside the line, fair. So 2 of the 3 hits have been for extra bases for the Indians.
Carlos Martinez double leading off the 3rd, and later scored on Sandy Alomar's sacrifice fly. With 1 out, Indians threatening to tie this ball game. Right on the outside corner at the knees.
It's one thing to locate your pitches and change speeds when it's a nice warm evening, but on a cold day such as we have here, that's an extra challenge for Key.
Ball and a strike. The appeal went down to Greg Kosk at first base. He flashed the safe sign. Another bright prospect the Indians have starting in the minor leagues, Jim Thome, a left-handed bat with some power. He's been experiencing some injury problems early in his career. He went down and scooped it to right center field where Danny Tartable's got it.
Tarnable, a nice job out there at a better angle just in case Jefferson was thinking about trying to move up. The ball not overly deep, but just in case he tried it, Tarnable had the better angle and was set up a little better to make a throw if he had to after the catch.
O'Neill starts after the double in left field corner, and he's taking a penalty. One of the classic baseball pictures of all time. Happened in the World Series, White Sox against the Dodgers. Al Smith went back to the wall in Old Comiskey Park, and here comes a shower of beer. I think the cup along with it. Glenn Allen Hill singled. I don't know if Hill wants the umpire Al Clark to move. No. Bernie Williams wants the umpire Al Clark to move. He was blocking his field of view off the bat of Glenn Allen Hill. Jimmy Key's got a base to play with Alomar to follow. He can nibble if he chooses to. He jams him. Boy, he got that in Glenn Allen Hill's kitchen. Sawed him off inside. Weak pop-up to Mattingly, so Key saves the run. Strands Jefferson at second base after 5. 2-1 Yankees. Owners, players, broadcasters, casual observers of the game. Michael Kay will help bring it to you. Don Mattingly leading off the 6th against Chuck Nagy. Yankees lead at 2-1. Don is struck out and grounded to first. Will it sneak through? Fermin will have to make a tough throw. He didn't get it. Fermin nearly pulled off a brilliant play. Mattingly swinging and running out of the box, got a terrific jump.
Yeah, Mattingly up the middle. A right-handed hitter does not beat this one out, but Mattingly from the left side does. Fermin, a great effort. Off-balance throw, an accurate throw, but just a little late. So the veteran shortstop turns in a whale of an effort for the Indians.
Tartabull got the Yankees' first run of the '93 season with a home run to right field. This time he flies out to right fielder Glenn Allen Hill. He had a first pitch home run in the 2nd. He flies out on the first pitch in the 6th. Danny also singled to center field in the 4th. Now it's Paul O'Neill.
Talking, Tony, about this cold weather and how difficult it is for pitchers, hitters as well. And, of course, Bob Feller was there to throw out the first pitch. Can you imagine facing him opening day? When he threw that opening day no-hitter back in 1940 against the White Sox, it could not have been much fun to face Bob Feller on a day like today.
Very sharp, late-breaking slider to start off Paul O'Neill. Well, they've been talking, and I don't know if it's going to come into fruition, of having a statue outside the new ballpark down the street of Bob Feller. I don't know if Bob got as much attention today throwing out the first ball or as a 16-year-old when all the radio networks went to Van Meter, Iowa when he signed out of high school. I mean, it was incredible back in the 30s, the attention that signing got. And there was a phenom that did not fall flat on his face and lost how many years to military service. 1-1 to Paul O'Neill. Right on the outside corner. Another perfect pitch to O'Neill. Sorrento playing behind Mattingly at first base, protecting that hole. He looped it foul. So you see a lot of guys, left-handers, hit the ball off the end of the bat against Nagy with that great sinker ball. And then when you try and go that way, he'll bust that slider in on you. Oftentimes for the strikeout pitch, you'll throw that splitter in the dirt. There's a four-seamer. Flared to left field. It'll be first and second for the Yankees with 1 out. A lot of opening day scores for you. Texas and Camden Yards with a 5-1 lead in the 4th. Gonzalez with a home run for the Rangers. No score at Kansas City, the Red Sox. Red Sox not projected to do well this year. Colorado at the Mets. A lot of media attention there. Scoreless. Florida 3, Los Angeles nothing. Charlie Hough against Hershiser. Charlie against the team which he started. Cincinnati 1-0 over Montreal. Cincinnati in the toughest division in baseball, and boy, Montreal's got a lot of quality players, don't they? I mean, young veterans.
And a quality manager in Felipe Alou.
Two on, one out, hit deep to right. A one-strike pitch for Matt Nokes. It's a 3-run home run. The Yankees now with a 5-1 lead. Nokes went down, appeared to be something down and inside, so Nokes, having grounded out in the second into a double play, grounded out in the fourth, gets some loft to this one and pads the Yankee lead.
Well, this is the most valuable thing that Nokes can give this ball club this year. Runs in bunches with one swing of the bat, and he does it here, going down to get that pitch and pulling it out to right. Nice catch in that hat out there by a fan.
You know, they talk so much about pitchers. Now, Tom Seaver, the Hall of Famer, always comes to mind about great lower body action for a pitcher. How about the way he uses his lower body to go down and get under the ball and loft it? So the Yankees with a couple of home runs already today. Tartable, nobody out in the second, and a 3-run home run behind Mattingly and O'Neill's singles by Matt Nokes. Moss is walked and lined out. 2 balls, no strikes. Too high. Kevin could be swinging. Fermin. Now he goes to his right. Scooped out by Sorrento. Felix almost made a brilliant play, or completed a brilliant play on Mattingly, and now he completes a terrific play on Kevin Moss.
On both ends of this play, Fermin at shortstop makes a fine pickup, and then Sorrento on the receiving end, a great job. And this is something that last year Ron Clark on this coaching staff spent a lot of time with Sorrento on to make him a much improved first baseman with that swipe pickup.
Well, Reggie Jefferson started the season hurt, and Jefferson came back, and you couldn't bench Sorrento. Flair off the bat of Spike Owen. He is 2 for 3 in this ball game so far.
The Indians have action in their bullpen. A right-hander and a left-hander. That's Ted Power, the right-hander, and Kevin Wickander, the left-hander. They are not accustomed to seeing Nagy give up to this point 5 runs and 9 hits, and he's not out of the 6th inning yet.
Rick Adair comes out to buy a little time. I don't think Mike Hargrove intended it to be this way with Nagy. You always, even early in the season, would like the pitcher to complete a game, but I really think for the benefit of the and part of the grieving process still for Steve Olin and Tim Cruz, Hargrove wanted to get some of that bullpen, especially those really close to Steve Olin out of that pen in ball games as quickly as he can this season. Of course, you mentioned earlier Kevin Wickander was so close, especially to Steve. 2 outs. Spike Owen on first base with Pat Kelly, who doubled home the second Yankee run in the 5th. We could see some movement by Spike Owen with 2 down. It will not curve foul. Base hit for Pat Kelly. Well, Pat used the bunt more than any other Yankee last year. I think he beat out, what, 10 bunt base hits. He gets a good pitch to go on the breaking ball.
We're seeing many facets of the game executed by the Yankees today. A couple of home runs, and now the bunt up this third base side by Pat Kelly. That's something that Pat can give this ball club. We've seen a little power from him with that RBI double in the 5th, and now this bunt. All of that in addition to his superb defensive play around second base.
And if Pat continues to do that and doesn't give up on it, he'll change the defense on him. They'll come in, they'll shorten up. And also, at times, it takes away in the first pitch many times the breaking ball from the pitcher. The breaking ball easier to bunt. They say, I'm going to go fastball with him, and then you sit on the fastball. So it can change the pitching pattern to you. A ball to Bernie Williams. Bernie, the 8th Yankee to come to the plate in this inning. Mattingly started out with a single up the middle. Fermin could not make a play on it. 1-1. Owen on second, Kelly on first. Chuck Nagy trying to get through this inning, perhaps maybe his last, as he's been banged around a little bit in the 6th. Breaking ball catches the outside third of the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Ball start outside and break over. Kind of a backdoor approach by the Cleveland right-hander.
As you watch Bernie Williams switch from side to side in the batter's box this year, you probably note that he's more of a low ball hitter from the left side, not uncommon. He likes the ball a little bit more up from the right side. This is inside. One of the reasons is for a left-hander, if you're a right-handed thrower, your right hand is your dominant hand, and when you go down and get a ball, Bernie from the left side can go down with the right hand. Right-handed batter's box, right-hander kind of guides the ball more, and you stay on top of it. Wednesday, I want to remind you, night game, 6:30 p.m. start. Jeff Mutis, the scheduled starter, the left-hander for Cleveland. Martinez with a nice play, and he cannot go and get the runner at second base. A great secondary lead by Pat Kelly to beat Martinez's throw, and then Baerga tried to throw behind Spike Owen to Fermin, could not get him, so they're loaded up. And here comes Grover, Mike Hargrove.
That's 11 hits for the Yankees. See Kelly get in at second base. Owen make the turn, but never too far around the bag to get back without much difficulty.
I would guess they're going to give a single fielder's choice. Mike Hargrove will replace Chuck Navy with the left-hander Kevin Wickander. So the Yankees have him loaded up. They lead 5-1. Wade Boggs, with the bases loaded and 2 outs, takes a first pitch breaking ball out of the strike zone from Kevin Wickander.
Tony, those numbers last year started to establish Wickander in the major leagues a little bit, but he did have problems with the first hitter he faced coming in from the bullpen last year.
He is now 2-0 to Boggs.
Matter of fact, that first hitter hit well over 400 against him for the year.
Boggs 0 for 3 thus far. Fastball. Larry Barnett says it had enough height in the strike zone. That may be one of those strikes. It used to be a ball. Umpires may start calling it a strike. Line but foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Boggs. The Yankees with 5 runs, 11 base hits. Indians 1 run, 3 hits, and the Yankees still threatening. Boggs is the 9th batter to face Nagy and now Wickander in this inning. Another breaking ball fouled off. Nagy started getting the ball up a little bit in the 6th, although Matt Noakes got a pitch down in the strike zone for the key hit in this inning, a 3-run home run into the right field seats. Full count with 2 outs. They'll be on the move. Kelly and Williams. Base hit. Boggs will drive home at least 2. Bernie to third. Boggs with his first base hit as a Yankee, and he gets 2 RBIs on top of it. 7-1 Yankees.
Those runs charged to the Cleveland starter, Charles Nagy, and Wickander continues to have problems with the first man he faces coming in from the bullpen, going 3-2 and giving up the single and 2 runs on that base hit by Boggs.
Those runs, of course, charged to Chuck Nagy. Now it's Mattingly. A strike. An offense that spent the last 2 weeks of the spring in a very sluggish fashion. I mean, the Yankees have exploded here in the 6th. They score 5. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Yankees 7, Indians 1. Jimmy Kubek back in Cleveland, 70,000 plus people. So the Yankees explode for 5 in the top of the 6th and 10 batters to the plate. Jimmy Key will be monitored closely now as he goes into the 6th. With his 6-run lead, it'll be Alomar, Lofton, and Fermin. No pitch, baseball on the field in center field.
The one good thing about Key, and Buck Showalter talked about this before the game in terms of number of pitches he might throw today. He's so economical with his pitches that he can get you deep into a game and still be in the mid-80s to 90 pitches. For an example, 44 pitches through 5 innings for Key right now.
End of the bat. Bernie Williams. 1 out in the bottom of the 6th for the Indians. The new facility, the girders already up, starting to put the concrete in. What'd you say, Dwayne? It's less than a half a mile from this site, I would guess, downtown, and thereabouts. All the parking will be underneath that stadium. The basketball facility will be right next door. I believe it's going to seat, what, 50 to 55,000?
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Much more cozy than this massive park.
Built along the lines of the park in Baltimore.
Lofton is struck out. And hit into a double play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Going to be a tough play. One of the best fielders in the game, Jimmy Key, throws him out. And what a play by Mattingly, going right into the path of the runner. Jimmy Key is a super athlete. He's a terrific golfer, was a good basketball player.
Tony, he's off the mound in a hurry to get this one in great speed and Lofton. And you're right, watch Mattingly on the receiving end of this.
He does a lot to help himself, aside from holding runners close. And here's another way you field your position. You know, you start thinking of left-handers especially would have done it here. Jimmy's going to take this himself. So he has a nice, comfortable inning. And Alomar, Lofton, and Fermin going down very easily. They saved him a lot of pitches. Dwayne Staats is coming back on this great opening day, 7-1 Yankees.
Budweiser game recap. Danny Tartable's home run in the 2nd inning got the Yankees on the board. Alomar's sacrifice fly tied it, but Pat Kelly doubled in the 5th, gave the Yankees a 2-1 lead before Matt Noakes hit his 3-run homer. And then Wade Boggs with a single against left-hander Kevin Wickander chased home 2 more to make it a 7-1 contest on the Budweiser game recap. Well, they're discussing defensive work, no doubt. Jimmy Key, a fine play to get Kenny Lofton in the 6th inning. And now new pitcher is Dennis Cook, the 3rd pitcher of the contest for the Indians, following Charles Nagy and Kevin Wickander.
Dennis Cook has spent time in the big leagues with San Francisco, Philadelphia, most recently the Dodgers, and Cleveland last year. Last year for the Indians, he had 25 starts. I feel now with the makeup of this ball club, he, at least at this time, be better off pitching out of the pen.
And Danny Tarnable will open the 7th inning, 2 for 3 with a home run and a single. Lines this one into left, and that ball is going to be in there. Extra bases. Tarnable on his way to second as Bell digs it out. So the Yankees now with 13 hits. They had 11 off Nagy and 1 off Wickander, and Tarnable greets Cook with a double.
Think he'll have a chance for another at bat to try for the cycle, the tough one. Watch that top hand roll over. Looked almost like a Tarnable had in mind trying to pull this pitch. You wonder why the ball jumps off his bat, so watch his hip action. Boy, those hips lead through and the bat follows. He generates so much bat speed with the hips.
Paul O'Neill with a couple of hits and a run scored takes the first pitch for a strike. He checked to swing as Alomar covers up. No, he didn't check it. That's a strike, says Dan Morrison on the appeal down to third, and O'Neill, his expression says it all. 2 strikes the count on him. Well,
yes,
he tried to get it back, but he had covered that plate.
You use the right word, trying. That may be another thing that umpires may do more of this year, is to those check swings, call them strikes more often than balls, to try and speed up game action. Of almost every replay you say generally the hitter did go too far.
Yeah, they just missed there, and the count's 1-2. No sooner did we start to talk about the new ballpark here than Mike Crispino, who's handling the pre and post game today, delivers us with the particulars on that ballpark: seating capacity, dimensions, number of concession stands, the whole thing. 2-2. The Indians' new park figures to have a little under 42,000 here, and a little less than 32,000 of those within the foul poles. 325 down the lines, 410 to a deep point in left center, and 400 to straightaway center field. And strike 3 is called to Paul O'Neill. Dennis Cook picks up his first strikeout.
Series of breaking balls, and then he's frozen with a cutter on the outer edge, right in the area.
You know, that cutter that you mentioned is something that he developed more of last year, and that has turned out to be a valuable pitch for him.
Well, he's a breaking ball pitcher who has got to use his fastball at times to get hitters out, or they're going to sit all over those breaking pitches and just expectorate on the fastball.
What was that?
Ted Williams would have said spit on the fastball if you're looking for another pitch.
1 strike the count to Matt Noakes, who rolls this one out to Baerga. Over to Sorrento, and on the ground ball, Tarnable moves into third.
You know, talking about the new Indians ballpark, you can almost guarantee they're going to have much better grass than they are in this stadium. There's a young man named Odie Kinky who was trained well by his father, a former professional ball player, Bud Kinky, who runs the facility in Kissimmee for the Houston Astros. I mean, it's like a billiard table. He's done research on varieties of grass, and Odie Kinky will be the new head groundskeeper at the new ballpark.
Kevin Miles takes one too low. Reminder, when you're having good times with good friends, drink responsibly, because friends know when to say when. A reminder from your friends at Budweiser. Tarnable, a runner at third, 2 gone. That's a strike. Well, the field in this situation, not in the best of condition. The infield newly sodded. That's a problem. The outfield, you can see not much grass at all in center field. 2 balls and a strike, and a lot of that testimony to the harsh weather that they've had here in the Cleveland area.
But we saw it at Shea for the exhibition game. The Mayor's challenge game, very soggy after the rain, and one part of the day and a lot of hard work by Frank Yelbourn in Yankee Stadium and his crew. The field was in terrific shape. The stadium
goes to 2-2. And as much as you look at the field and the patches in the outfield where there's not much grass. The dirt part of the infield is a concern if it's too soft, and it's almost as if you're walking on a cushion or something out there. But you start digging into those on cold days, and that's when you start to concern yourself with hamstring injuries and the like. In on Kevin's fist, and he fouls it back. Take a peek through out to Lake Erie. Some ice on that lake.
In fact, that's where I'm going after the game. You want to come along? I brought my auger and some minnows and some jigging equipment, get a ice fishing in.
I want you to tell me all about it.
I'm going to catch a few perch. Good smallmouth bass lake right there, I understand, and the shoals. Although I don't believe the fishing season's open yet.
Now you can give me a full report.
That's a lake that was terribly polluted not too many years ago, but the other members of the Great Lakes, the 4 others, it's come along pretty well.
Moss hanging in there with a count of 2-2, fouling off a number of pitches.
I've said it a number of times, but I'm going to say it again only because Kevin Moss has been somewhat impressive with his aggressiveness today in every single at bat.
He strokes it into right, and it's going to hang up long enough for Hill to get there to make the catch. The ball hung up. Hill went down and made the grab. No runs for the Yankees. 1 hit. The leadoff double. A man left. Bottom of the 7th coming. The Yankees lead 7-1. This copyrighted telecast, authorized under rights granted by the New York Yankees, solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Yankees and Madison Square Garden Network is prohibited. Carlos Baerga steps in and lets a high fly ball to deep left, and right there for it is Paul O'Neill, just in front of the track. So Baerga with 3 fly balls today, nothing out of 3 in the first out in the 7th.
Jimmy Key is nobody's dummy. He's got a comfortable lead, and he's just saying, here's a fastball. I won't say batting practice fastball, but that first hitter here, put it in play. And some younger pitchers might give too much credit to the hitter and try and make the perfect pitch. Jimmy Key say, here, he knows the conditions here, difficult for hitting, a wind factor.
And as we play here in the 7th inning, Tony, I have him at 51 pitches unofficially. Here's Albert Bell. Takes the ball. The paid attendance today, 73,290. That's not the largest crowd here, but close to it. Bell with a big league pop-up on the right side. Mattingly making the call. 2 gone.
And normally the Cleveland Indians have the largest opening day crowd in the major leagues. I'm not sure that Colorado isn't shooting for 80,000 this year when the Rockies go home. That was one of their goals, wasn't it? To break the all-time opening day attendance record?
Well, the Indians own the top 3 all-time crowds in American League history. Paul Sorrento fouls one out of play. Tops is 74,420 against the Tigers April 7, 1973. And next would come this crowd, 73,290 in Indian history. This one is low, 1 ball, 1 strike. In April, late in April in 48, they had 73,163 here against the St. Louis Browns. And a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs with the bases empty. And Key, as he has been for most of the day, ahead in the count. Sorrento, 27-year-old first baseman. And he's out on strikes. Key had him way out in front, reaching. A 1-2-3 inning for the Yankee left-hander Jimmy Key on a cold day in Cleveland. We've completed 7, and the Yankees lead 7-1. Yankees have a 7-1 lead as Spike Owen Steps in against left-hander Dennis Cook. A ball, no strikes, the count. Spike with a couple of hits and 2 runs scored today. He scored in the 5-run Yankee 6th. This one's going to carry out a play, chased by Sorrento.
Every Yankee batter in Buck Showalter's order today has a base hit except Kevin Moss, and Kevin has walked and lined out 3 times.
1 ball, 1 strike. Yankees have 13 hits overall. Two and 1. Cook last year won 5 and lost 7 with the Indians. 7 relief appearances, 25 starts, and 1 complete game. Spike fouls it, holding the count at 2-2. Count here on Spike on, with Pat Kelly due next. Kelly has a run batted in. Matt Noakes with 3. Tarnable 1 and Boggs with a couple. And there's an extra base hit for Spike Owen. On his way to second, Bell with a pickup. So Spike Owen, who struggled at the plate this spring, is 3 for 4 here opening day.
The second baseman, number 14, Pat Kelly.
So I guess spring training numbers for a veteran, at least off this performance today, don't mean a heck of a lot, do they? Spike wasn't there to try and make the team. He just got the big contract, the free agent contract, so he kind of cruised through it.
Now Pat Kelly. He was out front reaching, fouling it back, strike 1.
Pat, even with a 6-run lead, was trying to shoot the ball the opposite way. Advanced Spike Owen. And that's one of the things that we talked about in spring. I know you brought it up, Dwayne, about Wade Boggs working with him in Tampa in the offseason, trying to get him to hit the ball the other way. Stop pulling off the ball. But he's got to swing at strikes, though, when he does that. That's the second part of the thing.
It's Eric Plunk and Derek Lilliquist starting to throw now. They had Tommy Kramer and Mike Christopher up earlier. A 2-strike count to Pat Kelly.
One thing Pat has retained from last year, at least the second half, that bat position that Frank Howard put him in high above his head with a heavier bat.
A ball, 2 strikes. There's Hondo coaching first base.
And you know who the happiest guy to see Frank was today? Espinoza.
Oh, Alvaro Espinoza.
That's the first guy who went over to was Frank. Frank let him know in a hurry, though. Alvy, no more hitting tips. Check the uniform colors.
He says, young man, no more hitting tips. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I might cheer for you off the field.
Kelly, a high drive, hit deep to left. Bell going back, and the ball's gone. Home run for Pat Kelly, who's having a banner day. A 2-run shot for Kelly, and the Yankees now have a 9-1 lead. 3 runs batted in for Kelly, who has a double, a bunt single, and now a home run.
It was something that Frank Howard tried to impress on Pat Kelly last year, the year before, Rick Downs this year, Wade Boggs. Say, look, you're strong. If you try for home runs, you're going to pull off the ball. It's not going to work. You're going to strike out a lot. But there are going to be pitches in the area if you wait, and try and drive the ball up the middle of the right that you're going to pull naturally. And he got one pull in his natural power.
Bernie Williams fouls this one out of play down the right side. The Yankees in the 8th and 9th spots in the order today have 6 hits, 6 out of 8 between Spike Gall and Pat Kelly. It's turned out to be a long opening day for Mike Hargrove.
Well, he feels he's going to struggle with his pitching staff and have to be very patient all season long. We saw in spring training former pitching coach Mark Wiley, former uniform coach Gordon McKenzie scouting in Florida, sitting behind home plate many games, looking to add to their pitching staff.
Bench is upstairs.
It'll be a shame for this organization, the way John Hart, the GM, has begun to rebuild it, along with Mike Hargrove, that to get pitching, they might have to forfeit some of the young players they've groomed and developed because of the tragedy in Florida.
2 balls and a strike. When you think about the move the Indians made last year from the year before, when they finished with the identical record of the Yankees, 76 and 86, tied for 4th, and they really made up a lot of ground. To shortstop, Fermin across the diamond. That's the first out in the 8th inning. Ownership here.
Jacobs brothers, in fact, they lost one of theirs, David H. Jacobs, this past off season. Their front page of their cover is dedicated to one of the brothers. There's John Hart, the GM.
Now Wade Boggs.
Yeah, one thing John Hart did, excuse me, Dwayne, is to convince the ownership here that with this young talent to try and tie them down. So there are a lot of multi-year contracts given to some of these young players. Try and get some continuity in this organization. With Hargrove as the manager, John Hart stays around. Keep the same players and groom your own, then supplement them from the outside with trades or free agency when the time comes.
That's a strike. So the count is 2-1, and all of that is toward building the feeling that the Indians had, making some commitments to the young players, trying to get the camaraderie here. And it's something that I think the community here in Cleveland has started to feel. 3-1. The players certainly feel that they're all in this thing together, trying to turn the Cleveland franchise around. And with the new ballpark right around the corner, Boggs draws the walk. Only the second walk given up by Cleveland pitching today. Another reminder, when you're having good times with good friends, drink responsibly, because friends know when to say when. A reminder from your friends at Budweiser. 2 runs home in the 8th. Mattingly the hitter, with Boggs at first and 1 out. Mattingly and a base hit in the 6th inning and scored a run. Some ball loose from the bullpen.
Either that or there's been a lot out there. Somebody's throwing them down from the stands. Is there a sale on baseballs outside the ballpark today that people don't think they're very valuable?
Mattingly takes one upstairs.
Don't think I've seen Don Mattingly over the past few years as excited about his season as he is this spring, with some of the player movement, some of the depth he knows goes into the AAA level, especially in pitching. Munoz and Domingo Jean and perhaps Hutton.
Well, those difficult cuts the Yankees had to make give you a clear indication that there is some talent below the major league level. A base hit through the right side. Boggs will move to second and hold. Hill back with the ball. So the Yankees have 2 men on, 1 out.
And I think we also know, Dwayne, that nothing pushes a professional athlete to a little higher plateau, a little higher level than competition for jobs. As we saw in the pitching department this year, we're seeing in the middle of the infield department. Here comes Grover.
Mike Hargrove out there. The Yankees have Tartabull due. It's a 9-1 ball game. The Yankees have now collected 16 hits in this contest, and the call goes out to the bullpen. Eric Plunk will enter this game, become the fourth pitcher for the Indians today. We'll be back in a moment. Position 3 for 9 today. The Indians nothing of 3 in that department. As a result, the Yankees have built a 9-1 lead. Eric Plunk becomes the fourth pitcher of the day for the Cleveland Indians, following Charles Nagy, Kevin Wickander, and Dennis Cook.
When Eric Plunk is in or near the strike zone, he had one of those years for the Yankees when Mark Connor was in the bullpen before he was let go and sent to the minor leagues by Cleveland, picked up there. He can be untouchable. We saw him last year come into a game against the Yankees late where he looked like he was throwing 199 miles an hour. And terrific arm, and he did a good job for this. Rick Adair did a good job with him, and he did a good job for the Indians last season.
Well, Danny Tarnbull with a homer, a single, and a double in 4 trips. Up with 2 men on and 1 out. And Plunk starts him with a strike.
Looked like he hung a forkball on him first pitch, didn't he? Something off speed.
He misses high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
So you go from a Nagy, you started the game, and you tell yourself as a hitter, make him bring the ball up, and you now go to Plunk and you say, make him get the ball down. Play off the high, hard stuff.
The count is 2-1. There are the runners, Mattingly at first and Boggs at second base.
Boss has got to be enjoying this summer in the ballpark, back in his old hometown. The birth of the shipbuilding company was in this area.
The Yankees have taken a step forward here opening day. Eric Plunk, the former Yankee, 28 years old. 3-1. He blows this one challenging Tarnbull, and they blow it by him.
He hits those kinds of spots down and away. You're not going to touch him very often.
Tarnbull, a popper on the right side, the infield fly. So Baerga handles that. 2 gone.
Dwayne, the makeup of the Eastern Division American League is an interesting one, isn't it? We've talked so often in the spring. You talk to players, Mattingly, Tarnbull, any of the others, like teams from other teams. They feel it's up for grabs. It is not by any means among the strongest division in baseball, even though the World Championship team came out of it last year, the Toronto Blue Jays.
There's a lot of positive feel around New York about the Yankees, and even here in Cleveland, the cab driver this morning coming down to the ballpark said he's picking the Yankees. So cab drivers in Cleveland are picking the Yankees this year. There's a strike, and I think most people feel that at least before Stewart was hurt, Toronto or Baltimore had to be maybe the favorites coming in, but the Yankees certainly feeling that they should be a big part of the American League race in the Eastern Division. Baerga again out from second base takes care of this. The Yankees settle for 2. 2 runs, 3 hits, a couple of men left, and we head into the bottom of the 8th. Yankees 9 and Cleveland 1. In the bottom of the 8th for the Cleveland Indians, Jimmy Key on the mound. A ball, no strikes the count. Key has made fewer than 60 pitches so far. Bundled up against the cold here in Cleveland. The 2-0 pitch. Jefferson lifts it foul, carries it out of play. 2-1. Key has retired 8 in a row. Jefferson, the last Indian to reach base, and that was on a double with 1 out in the 5th inning. The 2-1. That's a foul ball at the feet of the hitter. So the count evens 2-2. Key with a couple of strikeouts, hasn't walked anybody. and there is ball 3 inside. This is, let me make a quick check. I think this is the second time today, as it turns out, that Key has had a 3-ball count on a hitter. He went 3-1 on Lofton in the 3rd and got the double play and gets the ground ball here, 3-2 out of Jefferson. Spike on to Don Mattingly, and that's the first out of the 8th. We'll bring up Carlos Martinez on the Wiz scoreboard. They're in the 7th inning, and Baltimore, Texas, with a 6-4 lead on the Orioles. Kansas City with a 1-0 lead at home against Boston. Martinez takes one too low.
Dwayne, you would think that this Yankee starting staff this year, look at the Mets leading over Colorado 1-0 in the 5th, Florida 4-3 over the Dodgers in the 6th, but you'd think that you'd see more complete games from this staff this year as opposed to when Stump Merrill manager, when he had
right
to.
Side. This is Pat Kelly making a little adjustment for the win.
Yeah, the year Stump Merrill manager, Stump of course in Columbus this year, Stump either had to or chose to go to his bullpen very frequently, but with Abbott here now, and of course Lido back, and maybe even a Wickman who can be a horse. He's got a strong arm.
When you look at the starters, Perez, Wickman, Abbott, Key, that could be good news for the middle part of the bullpen as much as anybody, because over the past couple of years, the pitch to Hill is a ball high. It's that middle part of the bullpen that has gotten so much use. Two and oh the count.
And that was one of the reasons in spring training where Buck Showalter and Gene Michael decided to use Jeff Johnson more in long relief, who was sent down after yesterday's performance, and Scott Kamenicki.
That's foul.
Look for people to give you those innings in long relief or middle relief before you get to the Havians, Howe, and then close with Farr or whomever.
Buck Showalter.
Is he happy? Buck Showalter to see this season start. I mean, after everything that went on in spring training and the 2 exhibition games in New York, he said, I cannot wait for the first road trip. He didn't say opening day. He said the first road trip. He is meetinged out, as are his coaches and Gene Michael and Bill Livesey and Joe Malloy, I'm sure, and it's time to go get him.
Two outs. Base is empty. 2-1 the count on Glenn Allen Hill. Key picks up the strike zone to square the count. Hill had 18 home runs last year in just over 100 games. 28-year-old outfielder, and you can see the size of those shoulders. Count holding at 2-2. The Indians with 12 pitchers on their staff with just 4 extra men. Treadway, Espinosa, Howard, and Ortiz, and there's the patch the Indians wearing to commemorate Tim Cruz and Steve Olin.
You might have noticed just above the 31 number of Steve Olin, an arrow pointing up. That was what Steve had on the bill of his cap, an arrow pointing toward home plate. The significance, of course, to throw strikes.
And Hill is out on strikes to retire the side. Another 1-2-3 inning. We have gone through 8 with the Yankees leading 9-1. Derek Lilliquist, the left-hander, takes over.
Look at those numbers off last season. He was as tougher on the Yankees as he was on anybody else in the league.
He becomes the 5th Cleveland pitcher of this game, and Matt Noakes, who homered in the 6th inning, is the first Yankee hitter to face him. There's a strike.
Good slider, sneaky fast. A little short delivery, the ball jumps on you in a hurry.
One ball, one strike. It'll
be interesting to see what kind of crowd shows up here on Wednesday night.
That's the second largest in American League history today. A ball and 2 strikes. 73,000 plus in Cleveland.
Thinning out now with the score and the cool weather.
Squares the count at 2-2.
So an off day in Cleveland tomorrow. You got anything planned? A little excursion somewhere you got with your buddy Davey Nelson?
Going to find a good place to have lunch that serves big steaming bowls of soup.
Take your little blankie to keep your tootsies warm. It's nice.
And I'm sure you'll be ice fishing again, huh?
Or snowmobiling. Or a combination of both.
Count holding at 2 balls, 2 strikes to Matt Noakes. He lifts it into left center. This is Bell. Boy, that wind is whirling out there and makes it a little more of a challenge, but Bell stayed with it. Yankee bullpen busy. That's John Habian, Steve Howe. Steve Farr was up just a few moments ago. 1 out into the 9th. Kevin Moss now to face the left-hander Lilliquist.
Of all the question marks this Yankee team still has, as every team in baseball early, a big one in my mind is the bullpen. What will it do over 162? It's very important. I mean, the quality of the starters has obviously improved this year. One thing you got going with this bullpen, you got some age there. And Havian having a rough last 2.5 or 3 months. Howe, you hope you get a full season out of him.
Moss behind in the count here, 2 strikes. Well,
they got depth at AAA.
They have depth at AAA, and that's why performances such as the one we've seen today from Jimmy Key are so important. If the starting rotation can give Buck Showalter the kind of innings he needs, something the Yankee rotation the last few years has not always been able to do.
See, Atlanta released Mark Davis. He'll pick up his $3+ million a year salary, and we saw him in spring training. He still has a quality arm. Since his back-to-back years at San Diego, 1 Cy Young, he has struggled every place he's been. Is that an arm you give up on? Or might there be interest here?
Tough to give up on any arm.
Well, it's like David Wells. I mean, he's still got a good arm. And do you think that Toronto would love to have him back after Stewart went down?
Absolutely.
Detroit jumped all over him.
Moss is out on strike, so Lilliquist picks up the 2nd out of the inning, the 5th strikeout for Cleveland pitching.
There aren't a whole lot of left-handed starters in the American League. Oh, last count approximately 15 or 16, but the Yankees with that starting lineup from the left side are going to see a lot of left-handed relievers this season. That's why some think, go out and get a right-handed bat with some power. Where do you find one?
2 outs.
They were hoping for a while it might be Hensley Mullins, and he struggled through the spring.
Hensley optioned out and mulling over his future right now. If he does wind up going to Columbus, there's a strike to Spike on. They're going to have a pretty good infield. They'll have Mullins at first and Davis at third. Stankiewicz will go down to play second base and Silvestri at shortstop. Spike on toward right center. Lofton on the move, and now the ball over to Hill. The wind carried it back to the right fielder, and Glenn Allen Hill makes the catch to retire the side. So the Yankees are up and down in order for the first time since the 3rd. Bottom of the 9th coming. 9-1 Yankees. And John Habian takes over. Jimmy Key pitched 8 superb innings in the neighborhood of 70 pitches. Gave up just 3 hits and a run, didn't walk anybody. Struck out 3, and now Habian on to face Sandy Alomar Jr. Ground ball with a shortstop. Spike on. Across to Mattingly. 1 pitch, 1 out.
I am going to surmise or presume perhaps the reason why Habian's in this ballgame. I mean, it could have been Howe, it could have been Farr, but to show you what kind of player or people's man Buck Showalter is. He brings in Habian, who came off a terrific spring training after a rough, and he had some back problems and the arm got tired last season. So Showalter brings him in opening day to start him off on a positive note. Not a save situation. You won't see Habian in that very often, although last year he did a good job when Farr went down in save situations. It's how Buck Showalter thinks and cares for his people.
The pitch is down, so the count is 1-1 to the Cleveland leadoff hitter. Key at 71 pitches. Back to Habian. And 2 gone as Lofton goes out pitcher first.
In fact, Buck Showalter commented after Habian's first outing in the spring when he just blew 3 hitters away. He said, great. He said he needed that after last year. He thought sometimes a guy, and Habian in this case, spent the winter worrying about his poor finish last year. Does it mean anything?
Howard.
I think it does, don't you, Dwayne? I think it means something when you have that concern for your players.
Well, the players appreciate that and know that it's genuine. 1 ball to count to Thomas Howard hitting in the place of Felix Fermin. This one swung out and missed. The count is 1-1. A reminder now, following our postgame report, baseball, a medical report hosted by Michael Kay coming up today, with 2 more showings available. 2 balls and a strike to count on Thomas Howard.
Both Tony Cloninger, the new pitching coach, and Mark Connor, the bullpen coach, counted all spring, and they used the term that Habian has more depth to his slider and his sinker. In other words, it was going down. And he had that late action as he had for the first 1.5 years here.
That ball bouncing around in the Yankee dugout got more cheers than anything else the Indians have done today. Scattering some in the far end of the Yankee dugout. Dion James down there. 2-2 the count. And a roller to short. Spike on to Mattingly, and this game is over. The Yankees have taken the first game of the year, winning here opening day over the Cleveland Indians 9-1. A 9-1 final. Jimmy Key retired the last 11 he faced and then gave way to John Habian, who had a perfect 9th to wrap it up. The Yankees got some big offense. 3 home runs today, the first time that's happened since April the 9th, 1963 in an opening game. They beat Kansas City 8-2. Joe Pepitone hit a couple that day, and Elston Howard hit 1. And today, opening day, Pat Kelly hit a home run. Matt Noakes belted a 3-run shot, and Danny Tarnable got the Yankee scoring started with a leadoff home run in the 2nd inning as Buck Showalter has the first win under his belt this year. And our SBLI play of the game, the home run by Matt Noakes. It came with 2 men aboard in the 6th inning as the Yankees exploded for 5 runs in the 6th to put the game, I hesitate to say it, on a cold day, but to put the game on ice as the Yankees defeat the Indians 9-1.
Isn't that a nice, easy, smooth swing by Noakes? Didn't overswing.
A crowd of 73,000 plus depart Cleveland Stadium. Yankees are winners today. Back in a moment. 73,290 on hand on a cold day as the Indians and the Yankees open the 1993 season, and the Yankees come away with a 9-1 victory. Buck Showalter, who saw his club win 20 games during the spring, racks up a win when it counts. Congratulations all around. And on the Jeep Eagle game summary for the Yankees, 9 runs, 16 hits, no errors. The Indians are run 3 hits, no errors with just 1 man left. Jimmy Key will get credit for the victory. Charles Nagy, the losing pitcher. Home runs by Tarnable, Noakes, and Kelly. Time of the game 2 hours and 18 minutes before a crowd of 73,290. And Tony, I don't think the Yankees could have scripted this thing any better for opening day. I guess the weather might have been a little bit better as things turned out. The Yankee bats were alive. 3 home runs mixed in. Pat Kelly a good day. Noakes a good day. Tarnable got it all started.
Jimmy Key had a terrific debut. Wade Boggs got his first Yankee hit with a couple of RBIs, and really Key set the tone pitching-wise, and Tarnable set the tone off a tough pitch to right center field with a home run against Nagy. So kind of a nice day for the Yankees.
Yep, and they'll do it again after an off day tomorrow. They'll have Jim Abbott, the left-hander, working here in the second game of this series. That coming up on Wednesday. Again, our final score. The Yankees have defeated the Cleveland Indians 9-1. Coming up, the post-game report straight ahead with Mike Crispino. We'll be with you Wednesday night with Yankee Scorecard, 6:30. Game 2 of this series, the Yankees and the Indians.